All right. Silence and Light. We've talked about it in our two previous interviews. You have two albums that are already out. You have an EP that's coming out. And speaking of your house, I'm pretty sure you posted on Instagram stories maybe a couple months ago that you have like a dedicated studio room or a guitar room. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. That's where I'm sitting now. But I've also started to kind of acquire horror movie posters, from the 80s and from Universal Monster posters and things like that. So the decor is just getting more incredible. I'm also really into like mid-century modern stuff. So just even like I don't know where the lamp is, but like these different lamps and just cool furniture. The chair that I'm sitting in is this mustard velour wingback, with gold legs on it. So I love all kinds of stuff. But
So what's the vibe you're going through at the Thomas residence? Is it like 1970s man cave? What are we thinking?
there's a lot of space. So every room is kind of getting its own thing, but I don't know. It's not something that's like you can't call it any one specific thing. And I want it to be a place where when my friends come over, when neighbors, whomever drop in, that they're like, man, this place is cool as shit. And it's already it's moving that way. So
So let's talk about Silence and Light. Like I said, you guys have two albums that are out already. Our viewers might not know this if they haven't seen my two previous interviews with Brad. It's an all veteran rock band. I assume that's still the case. If any
yeah.
members, so still the case. Tell us a little bit about this EP that's coming out and what the goal was when you got this whole thing started years ago.
Yeah, so it wasn't intended to be a veteran band or anything like that. I approached a longtime friend of mine and someone that I served with, not directly, Jason Everman, who was in Nirvana and Soundgarden and another band, Mindfunk, before he joined the Army. He was inspired to join the Army by Black Hawk Down and by what happened in Mogadishu and seeing the news and joined the Rangers. And anyway, he and I connected years and years ago. And I wanted to do something to give back to the community. And to be honest, I think I'm one of the first people that was really kind of out there on social media saying, hey, I'm here to do something to help guys and gals that are in need or maybe struggling. And so the thought was, we'll put together some sort of music, something or other, and we'll take the proceeds from music royalties and we'll contribute those to charitable organizations that help guys and gals that need help. And so that was kind of the impetus for it. And I started a social media page and that kind of grew and organically grew the band, where here's my buddy Tyson, who I didn't know, hit me up on social media and said, I don't know what you got going on, but I want to be a part of it. And he jumped in, plays bass. So let's see how that works out. And it just kind of went from there. So that's what we do. We write, record, perform, all of that, just like any other band. And we're not trying to get away from any moniker like veteran band or anything else. I think we've kind of just become a band like any other band and have a pretty significant following. It blows my mind when I see the number of streams on, music. Not many people buy music anymore. So they're either on Spotify or they're on YouTube or Google or wherever they're getting their music. But it blows me away that it connects with as many people as it does. And so we'll take our royalties, we'll contribute those to charitable organizations, we'll do different charitable organization events and perform elsewhere independently. We've done T-shirt campaigns with different folks, Matt Rendar, Battle Tribe. We've done a bunch of different T-shirt collabs, and we're going to do another one with him here in the coming weeks. And we'll take portions of that and contribute that to different charitable organizations. But that's really what it's there to do. And it's a great place. It allows me to be creative and kind of be a part of, write the music, record the music, produce, engineer. I mean, I have my hands in everything from album artwork to names of songs to how it sounds to the mixing and mastering process. Like I have my hands in everything, and I love all the parts of it kind of
And
equally.
with this EP that's coming up, what can you tell the viewers about what they can expect on the next portion that Silence and Light is going to be providing to people?
We did our first record with multi-Grammy award-winning producer Josh Goodwin. And come to find out, he's Bieber's producer. He has a huge clientele, but the guy is just absolutely phenomenal. And then we moved to a studio in Raleigh where we could be a little more hands-on and take on more of the responsibility of, how it got engineered and how it was produced and how it all came together. And one of my goals, there's the way it used to be with recording music, and there's the way it is today. And most of the stuff that I listen to that's modern sounds very overproduced, and it sounds almost sterile. Like it just doesn't have that analog warmth that, was a thing of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, and even into the 90s. So my goal with this EP was to write music that had some obvious deep impact and kind of meaning, but record it as old school as we could to give it more of a vibe that it was something from the 70s, and it really, we're doing all the mixing and mastering right now. And it's one of the people who's been texting me is our guy Johannes, who does the mixing and mastering. But it sounds phenomenal. So it's live tracked. We recorded these live, not, let me sit down and make this part exactly perfect. We recorded it live all together, same room. And then we went back and we added our, overdubs and different textures and sounds and things like that. And I don't know, that part of it is equally fascinating for me. So it's going to be a 4-song EP. And then this summer, we're going to get back in. We have another couple that we recorded this session this past summer, but we want to hold on to. So we'll release those with a couple of others that we'll record probably later in the fall. But this EP will probably be out soon after the documentary launches next Monday. So maybe the following Friday or the Friday after that.
And people can find that on Spotify, Apple
Yeah.
Music, where
It's anywhere. If you Google Silence and Light or you Google me or type in Silence and Light on any of the music platforms, it's all over everywhere.
Well, I have something to tell you about Silence and Light that is probably going to make you laugh. I hope it makes you laugh. When I did, you probably don't remember this. When we did our first interview, we were talking about your music, and I had said, I don't listen to rock music really at all. I'm a big country guy. But then I listened to your album, and Spotify pulls up like, oh, similar stuff. Next thing you know, I'm listening to like Alice in Chains, Godsmack, and my Spotify top 100 this year was like 70 hardcore rock songs. and, and I wake up in the morning, go to work. I have a rock like straight playlist, and it's just stuff that's like 20 years old. I love it. And I didn't listen to any of that at all prior to when I first listened to your music ahead of that interview. So, a small thank you for broadening my music horizons as well.
I infected you with dark music. That's
It's
good.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
great.
It's
Um,
for me, it was the last real movement in music. And, kind of happened into the early 90s. And by mid 90s, it was pretty much over. But there really hasn't been anything as significant since, and when you talk about Kurt Cobain and the impact that he had, I mean, all of a sudden everyone's wearing flannel and wearing ripped jeans, and it really had an impact. It was all over the radio, it was all over MTV, it was all over MTV Unplugged, and performance at MTV Spring Break and all this stuff, and it just nothing is the same. And so for me, I connect with that much more, and I didn't realize it at the time, that it would have the impact that it had on me. I liked music. Like when I was serving in the Rangers originally, I'm listening to Slayer and Megadeth and stuff like that. And, I don't know, it really had an effect on me, and it imprinted, no doubt.
And this also isn't your first run in the music industry. We've talked about this. We've briefly touched on it before, but I want where you grew up is also where I spend a decent amount of time, if you catch my
Sure.
drift. Um, and you were kind of in the music scene in this vicinity for a while too, correct? How long were you doing music here for?
Yeah, it was like just constantly trying to get something together and, performing a little and everything else. And it just ultimately it kind of led me to the frustration of what next? Do I move to LA and try that? And really got frustrated with most of the music personalities, to be honest. It was something that just didn't really jive with. And it would seem like things would be okay and moving and tracking in a certain way, and then stuff would just fall apart. And now you're 2 years later trying to find a singer that can sing the stuff that you used to do with this guy. And, it was very frustrating. So I got to a point in the late 1980s where I saw the Rangers jump into Panama on the news. A buddy of mine had come back from basic training in AIT in the Air Force and was talking about this special group of people that was recruiting, and for a unit that jumps in behind enemy lines to rescue down pilots. And I was like, that sounds cool. And then the band that I was in just kind of fell all apart. And so by very early 1990, I was, knocking on the recruiter's door trying to figure out, where I could do, how I could join to be in that unit.
It's kind of like the whole time is a flat circle thing. You're doing music in the
Yeah.
80s. This break comes. Now you've been doing it again for several years. If people were interested in catching a Silence and Light show, how often are you guys performing, and what region of the country generally do you guys do your shows in?
It's tough, mostly East Coast. People will ask, are you guys on tour? And we could go on tour and it would look like, playing to 17 people on a Thursday night in wherever. It's really hard to get. And because we're sort of national, I mean, the music is everywhere. So if I look at where the streams are happening, I can see the analytics of, more popular areas and less popular areas, but it's really hard to kind of, put anything together. So we do a lot of special event type of things. And, we're playing like maybe 8 to 10 shows a year. And that's kind of our goal. Like I have no desire to get in a van and drive up and down the East Coast and play to 17 people on a Thursday night in a no-name bar. That's not what I'm trying to do.
If you
You don't
ever,
need it. You don't need it the same way you used to need it.
right.
You used to have to build a regional following, and then maybe you got talked to by a label, and then it doesn't work that way anymore. You
Well,
know?
if you're ever doing a show up here, you'll 100% have to let me know. I don't think my fiance is a music person at all, but I would love to catch a Silence and Light show if it's ever in the area.
The,
So
the first time we
1000%.
played, the first time we played together live was in front of Lenny Kravitz, and about 5,000 people at the Anthem in DC for a special event. So that was kind of like, all right, yeah, this is our side. Like this is what we want to do, and it kind of spoiled us. So we've done the special event thing is really kind of the best thing. Private shows and things like that. A lot of them are fundraisers and aimed at charities and things like that. So
What was that feeling like performing in front of Lenny Kravitz when the speakers go for the first time, the crowd is there? Like what type of adrenaline rush hits you in that moment?
yeah, it's a great feeling. That's sort of the reward of all of the other stuff. So you write, you put all this effort into doing something, it connects with people, but it's equally rewarding when I'll have a person hit me up on social media and say, I was in the gym, this song came on, I heard it, it brought tears to my eyes listening to it. It means so much to me. Thank you for writing it. Like I get those types of things. Or seeing you do what you're doing. I was going down a road that wasn't good and I've been able to do this, and thank you so much. Like that is more rewarding to me than my own personal gain of performing, you know.
Can you remind me of the charity that you were donating your portion of the proceeds? It was Tom Spooner's
Yeah, so Warrior's
Warriors.
Heart was, where we were contributing royalties. And we're trying to sort of, I feel like the best thing that I could do for Tom and what he's doing with Warrior's Heart was get the word out. And, I think when I first started talking about Warrior's Heart, they were 1,000 followers, 1,100 followers, something along those lines, and been able to grow that substantially. Almost every media thing that I do, I'll talk about that. But also too, I've had a recent connection with Hunter Seven. And
What's that?
Hunter Seven got me a full body scan in September at Prenuvo in Bethesda, and I got to do that. They've done a blood draw where they can screen you for all different kinds of cancers and cancer, down to the cell. And so we're talking about where we can, diversify and maybe bring attention to other stuff.
I saw you posting. I think I don't know if it was maybe Shot Show that you were posting
Yeah.
about 107. That sounds like a great, just a
Yeah.
medical idea. If I mean that's incredible, and that's the sooner you can catch something, as we
So
all know.
I went and did the scan, and I can't say that there were a whole lot of surprises. It's like you kind of know the aches and pains and wear and tear on the body, but they found that I had fractured two vertebrae in my back at some point. And so I'm kind of like trying to figure when was that? I mean, I have a lot of jumps and, uh, bumps and bruises and things like that. But so I was at some point running around with two broken vertebrae in my back.
And didn't even know it.
No.
That's wild. Well, you must be a tougher man than I am because I'm only 32 and I got aches and pains every damn day I get out of bed. So when it comes to making your music now, what portion of like your daily schedule would you say is dedicated to just focusing on music, writing music, maybe just riffing on the guitar? Like your day, how much of it's music focused at this point?
I get up and the ball starts rolling, and it could lead me 1,000 different directions. I could be doing this, I could be doing that. I kind of like it's just one big ball of stuff. Um, from 7:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. At some point, it's like, all right, done. Not looking at social media. I'm not looking at this. I'm not plinking on a guitar. I'm not whatever. But it just kind of an all day, every day thing. There is no weekend. And that's been, one of the biggest things that like, there is no weekend anymore. And I tell my girlfriend, it's like every day is Saturday. It just all day long is whatever we need to do and whatever I need to do. And, that's just kind of the way I live.
Well, you said previously in the interview you like talking about relationships, and now you mentioned your girlfriend. I feel like it'd be foolish of me to not ask. Is there anything you'd like to share about that relationship?
Nope.
Okay, well I just wanted to make sure I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
She's over there laughing.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't being rude in
No, I
glossing
mean,
over
I
something.
try and be very protective in private with family and those types of things. And, there are nefarious people out there that would probably like to find, wherever I am and maybe come meet me or who knows. But I try and be pretty private with that stuff.
No, I got it. I just want to make sure I wasn't leaving any boxes you were trying to put out there to be unchecked via the precinct.
Amazing in every way. I will just say that.
Perfect. Well, Brad, this once again, I think we're closing in another 2 hours, which generally seems to be how long you and I always go whenever we get on a camera. If there's one big thing that I didn't bring up that you really wanted to talk about, what's one topic that I missed today that you would love to dive into?
Van Halen.
I'm not an expert, but take it away.
No,
What?
no. I'm kidding. No, I mean, I'm here to talk. I love having these kinds of conversations. But ultimately, I'm here to help get the word out further. Maybe share a little bit about this documentary. I'm tremendously proud to have been a part of it. I didn't know I was going to end up being, I didn't know there were only going to be, the number of Americans involved with it that there were. I didn't know if it was going to be 20 people, 2 people, and I never expected to be, make the cut more or less. And anyway, I'm super thankful, grateful to have been a part of it. It's been a class act production, everything from keeping me in the loop with where they are in the process, from the Ridley Scott people to Netflix and Netflix getting involved and being helpful and helping, spread the word and promotion and things like that. So extremely excited for, how it rolls out. I wasn't planning to watch it, to be honest. And, just after talking about it, and I have got to watch it now. So you're telling me there's a story that I can't even remember telling. So I've got it. We talked about a lot of things. So I don't know what was used, what wasn't used, or any of that, but I'm tremendously proud of it and hope that everybody tunes in and checks it out.
Well, Brad, thank you as always. To anyone watching this, please check out Silence and Light. I will include a link, whether you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching it at outkick.com, wherever it is. There will be a link you can find in the description of the article for Silence and Light stuff. Brad, as always, I'm sure at some point down the road, we will do this yet. Once again, you're one of the most fascinating people. I really enjoy talking to you. You're a great dude.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the platform and being able to talk about the things that we're able to talk about. So it goes both ways, man.